I've been here before. I told you what to do and you haven't done it. And you're up to your neck in trouble in consequence.
George Bernard Shaw. George Bernard Shaw, 26th of July, 1856 to the 2nd of November, 1950. Known at his insistence as Bernard Shaw, was an Irish playwright, critic, polemicist and political activist. His influence on Western theatre, culture and politics extended from the 1880s to his death and beyond. He wrote more than 60 plays, including major works such as Man and Superman, 1902, Pygmalion, 1913, and Saint Joan, 1923, with a range incorporating both contemporary satire and historical allegory. Shaw became the leading dramatist of his generation, and in 1925 was awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature. Born in Dublin, Shaw moved to London in 1876. He struggled to establish himself as a writer and novelist and embarked on a rigorous process of self-education. By the mid-1880s, he had become a respected theatre and music critic. Following a political awakening, he joined the gradualist Fabian Society and became its most prominent pamphleteer. Shaw had been writing plays for years before his first public success, Arms and the Man, in 1894. Influenced by Henrik Ibsen, he sought to introduce a new realism into English language drama, using his plays as vehicles to disseminate his political, social, and religious ideas. By the early 20th century, his reputation as a dramatist was secured with a series of critical and popular successes that included Major Barbara, The Doctor's Dilemma, and Caesar and Cleopatra. Shaw's expressed views were often contentious. He promoted eugenics and alphabet reform and opposed vaccination and organized religion. He courted unpopularity by denouncing both sides in the First World War as equally culpable, and although not a Republican, castigated British policy on Ireland in the post-war period. These stances had no lasting effect on his standing or productivity as a dramatist. The interwar years saw a series of often ambitious plays which achieved varying degrees of popular success. In 1938, he provided the screenplay for a filmed version of Pygmalion, for which he received an Academy Award. His appetite for politics and controversy remained undiminished. He had largely renounced Fabian Society gradualism, and albeit having some interest for Mussolini and Stalin, renounced these as well. In the final decade of his life, he made fewer public statements but continued to write prolifically until shortly before his death, aged 94, having refused all state honours, including the Order of Merit in 1946. Since Shaw's death, scholarly and critical opinion about his works has varied, but he has regularly been rated among British dramatists as second only to Shakespeare. Analysts recognise his extensive influence on generations of English language playwrights. The word Shavian has entered the language as encapsulating Shaw's ideas and his means of expressing them.
Ladies and gentlemen, I suppose you know that this is a fake. You all imagine that this is perfectly natural, that I'm coming just to get into the aeroplane. But it's all a put-up job. And the whole point of this is that you should see the animal for a moment. Well, you have seen him. I've nothing whatever to say to you, except that I'm sure you're very glad to see me, and I'm extremely sorry that I can't see you. Good morning.
The most striking result of our present system of farming out the national land and capital to private individuals has been the division of society into hostile classes, with large appetites and no dinners at one extreme, and large dinners and no appetites at the other.
I can't say that I'm very glad to see you because I can't see you. But I feel instinctively that you're extremely glad to see me. They're always glad to see me in America. So now, take a good look at me because I am the actual, real, original Bernard Shaw. Now, how do you like me? Very good.
Throughout his lifetime, Shaw professed many beliefs, often contradictory. This inconsistency was partly an intentional provocation. The Spanish scholar-statesman Salvador de Madariaga described Shaw as a pole of negative electricity set in a people of positive electricity. In one area at least, Shaw was constant in his lifelong refusal to follow normal English forms of spelling and punctuation. He favoured archaic spellings such as shoe for show. He dropped the U in words like honour and favour, and wherever possible, he rejected the apostrophe in contractions such as won't or that's. The reasonable man adapts himself to the world. The unreasonable one persists in trying to adapt the world to himself. Therefore, all progress depends on the unreasonable man. You see things. You say, why? But I dream things that never were. And I say, why not?
And the first compliment I received was a bomb from Adolf Hitler, which broke my bedroom window. I hope by my next birthday I shall receive something more cheerful than this exciting. Goodbye, 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 goodbye.
If you want to tell people the truth, make them laugh. Otherwise, they'll kill you.
People ask me, do the English people want a national theatre? Well, of course they don't. They never want anything. They've got a British museum, but they never wanted it. They've got a national gallery, but they never wanted it. They've got Westminster Abbey, but they never wanted it. But now that they've got it, now that it stands there as a mysterious phenomenon that came to them in some sort of fashion, they quite approve of it. And they feel that the place would be incomplete without it.
Life isn't about finding yourself. Life is about creating yourself. Make it a rule never to give a child a book you would not read yourself. A life spent making mistakes is not only more honourable but more useful than a life spent doing nothing. Both optimists and pessimists contribute to society. The optimist invents the aeroplane, the pessimist the parachute. Hatred is the coward's revenge for being intimidated. Oh, the play was a great success, but the audience was a dismal failure.
Mr. Shaw, after having visited a good part of the world, what do you think should be done to prevent another world conflict?
You see, that's one of these questions that I'm not prepared to ask unless you give me the job. No man fords a stream until he comes to it. If you want me to set the world to right, you must put me against that so that I've got to do it within 24 hours. Then I'll give my mind to it.
This is the true joy in life, being used for a purpose recognized by yourself as a mighty one, being a force of nature instead of a feverish, selfish little clod of ailments and grievances, complaining that the world will not devote itself to making you happy. I am of the opinion that my life belongs to the whole community, and as long as I live, it is my privilege to do for it what I can. I want to be thoroughly used up when I die, for the harder I work, the more I live. I rejoice in life for its own sake. Life is no brief candle to me. It is a sort of splendid torch which I have got hold of for the moment, and I want to make it burn as brightly as possible before handing it on to future generations. If you have an apple and I have an apple, and we exchange these apples, then you and I will still each have one apple. But if you have an idea and I have an idea, and we exchange these ideas, then each of us will have two ideas. A pessimist is a man who thinks everybody is as nasty as himself and hates them for it. I am an atheist, and I thank God for it.
Ladies and gentlemen, before I plant the tree, I think I shall talk a little.
You could say step by step.
Yes, now a gentleman tells me that I am to face this way. Because these gentlemen who are operating, they of course go to the wrong side. They always do. Shakespeare had a mulberry tree, and I'm not going to be outdone by Shakespeare.
Liberty means responsibility. That is why most men dread it. The trouble with her is that she lacks the power of conversation, but not the power of speech. You don't stop laughing when you grow old. You grow old when you stop laughing. Liquor is the chloroform which enables the poor man to endure the painful operation of living. The most tragic thing in the world is a man of genius who is not a man of honor. Criminals do not die by the hands of the law, they die by the hands of other men. Silence is the most perfect expression of scorn. Do not do unto others as you would that they should do unto you. Their tastes may not be the same. The difference between a lady and a flower girl is not how she behaves, but how she is treated. No man ever believes that the Bible means what it says. He is always convinced that it says what he means. When a thing is funny, search it carefully for a hidden truth. A government which robs Peter to pay Paul can always depend on the support of Paul.
The politicians have not yet found out the microphone. They still imagine that they are addressing political meetings. And they don't understand that the microphone is the most wonderful telltale in the world. If you speak insincerely to a political, say an election audience, the more insincere you are, the more hopelessly you're away from all the facts of life, the more they'll cheer you and the more they're delighted. But if you try that on the microphone has a certain magic. It gives you away instantly. You hear the political ranter. You hear that his platitudes mean nothing and that he doesn't really believe. And there's something more important. If you nerve yourself to face the microphone by taking, say, half a glass of whiskey, the effect produced is that you're shockingly drunk.
Sensibly was my tailor. He took my measure anew every time he saw me, whilst all the rest went on with their old measurements and expected them to fit me. The fact that a believer is happy than a skeptic is no more to the point than the fact that a drunken man is happier than a sober one. The happiness of credulity is a cheap and dangerous quality of happiness, and by no means a necessity of life.
All great truths begin as blasphemies.
This is the true joy in life. The being used for a purpose recognized by yourself as a mighty one. The being thoroughly worn out before you are thrown on the scrap heap. The being a force of nature instead of a feverish, selfish little clod of ailments and grievances, complaining that the world will not devote itself to making you happy.
My religious convictions and scientific views cannot at present be more specifically defined than as those of a believer in creative evolution. I desire that no public monument or work of art or inscription or sermon or ritual service commemorating me shall suggest that I accepted the tenets peculiar to any established church or denomination, or take the form of a cross or any other instrument of torture or symbol of blood sacrifice.
Life does not cease to be funny when people die any more than it ceases to be serious when people laugh.
Power does not corrupt men. Fools, however, if they get into a position of power, corrupt power.
Imagination is the beginning of creation. You imagine what you desire, you will what you imagine, and at last you create what you will.
Progress is impossible without change, and those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything.
When a stupid man is doing something he is ashamed of, he always declares that it is his duty.
Oh, your friends are all the dullest dogs I know. They are not beautiful, they are only decorated.
They are not clean, they are only shaved and starched.
They are not dignified, they are only fashionably dressed.
They are not educated, they are only college pass men.
They are not religious, they are only Puritans.
They are not moral, they are only conventional.
They are not virtuous, they are only cowardly.
They are not even vicious, they are only frail.
They are not artistic, they are only lascivious.
They are not prosperous, they are only rich.
They are not loyal, they are only servile.
Not dutiful, only sheepish.
Not public-spirited, only patriotic.
Not courageous, only quarrelsome.
Not determined, only obstinate.
Not masterful, only domineering.
Not self-controlled, only obtuse.
Not self-respecting, only vain.
Not kind, only sentimental.
Not social, only gregarious.
Not considerate, only polite.
Not intelligent, only opinionated.
Not progressive, only factious.
Not generous, only propitiatory.
not disciplined, only cowed.
And not truthful at all.
Liars, every one of them.
To the very backbone of their souls.
Don't be deceived, ladies and gentlemen. When a man is playing the simple, unaffected human being, in public, he's always acting as hard as he possibly can. And small blame to him, I do that sort of thing myself. I could show you all sorts of tricks that I can play. For instance, if I want to appear to you as the profoundly reflective critic, well, look at this. You get a view of my forehead. My beard is not so conspicuous. You would almost, if you had to vote for a man, and you wanted to vote for a profoundly reflective man, you would vote for me. But would you vote for that? How do you do? Just wait one moment until I come down. Well, here you are, I suppose in a stuffy theater somewhere, munching chocolates and larking with one another. Now, the reason I'm here is that I was born on the 26th of July, 1856. And consequently, you would say that I am 76 years of age today. Now, I think I have said about as much as a man of 76 ought to be allowed to say on his birthday, and I have a lot of work still to do at Malvern. So, I know you'll be very kind and you'll excuse me. Bye, goodbye, goodbye.
In its obituary tribute to Shaw, the Times literary supplement concluded, "He was no originator of ideas. He was an insatiable adopter and adapter, an incomparable prestidigitator with the thoughts of the forerunners, Nietzsche, Samuel Butler, Marx, Shelley, Blake, Dickens, William Morris, Ruskin, Beethoven, and Wagner. All had their applications and misapplications. By bending to their service all the faculties of a powerful mind, by inextinguishable wit, and by every artifice of argument, he carried their thoughts as far as they would reach, so far beyond their sources that they came to us with the vitality of the newly created."
If you'd known all I have had to put up with in my life, you'd say heaven defend me for living that man's life. However, I don't complain. It doesn't matter if one dies poor, which I'm not going to do, by the way, as long as your life is happy. And the way to have a happy life is to be too busy doing what you like all the time, having no time left to you to consider whether you're happy or not. And, oh, look here, I'm getting talking. I must stop. Well, it's very pleasant to have seen you all here, and to think that you are my audience and all that, because I'm a born actor myself. I like an audience. I'm like a child in that respect. Well, goodbye, 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 goodbye all of you.